Chosen one, stop what you are doing right now. Heaven has pressed pause on everything around you, just so this message could reach you. You did not stumble here by coincidence. This is divine timing. You have been searching, questioning, and wondering if God still speaks. The answer is yes. And He is speaking to you now. This moment is sacred. This is not an algorithm. This is alignment. Heaven has whispered your name. And now, the scroll once hidden begins to open before your spirit. You feel it, something ancient and alive, stirring within you. For so long, you have felt out of place, misunderstood, even abandoned. But heaven has seen every tear, every silent night, every time you asked, "Why me?" The truth is, because you are chosen, you were marked long before your first breath. You are part of a divine mystery that is unfolding right now. The world has tried to label you as too sensitive, too intense, too different. But what they called weakness, heaven calls sensitivity to the spirit. What they mocked as odd, God calls prophetic perception. You were never meant to blend in because you were designed to stand out. You are not ordinary. And that is why ordinary places no longer feel like home. Listen carefully. This message was hidden until now because you were not ready then. But you are ready now. The seal is being broken. Revelation is meeting readiness. There is a reason you felt the push to open this message today. Heaven doesn't operate in accidents. He operates in appointments. For years, your life may have felt like fragments, broken pieces, scattered across seasons of pain and confusion. But now, those fragments are aligning into divine order. God is showing you that none of it was wasted. Every heartbreak, every rejection, every closed door was heaven's way of guiding you to this very moment of awakening. Beloved, the scroll that opens is not an ancient manuscript stored in some temple. It is your soul. You are the living scroll. Inside you are the words written by the very hand of God. The enemy has tried to erase them with fear and shame, but he cannot erase what heaven has written in fire. The angels lean close as you listen now. The light that surrounds you is not just for comfort, it is for confirmation. Heaven is saying, yes, this is for you. Every storm you survived was proof of your calling. Every voice that told you to give up was afraid of what would happen if you didn't. You may have felt small, but the heavens see a giant rising. You may have been silent, but God is restoring your voice. The same voice that declared light into darkness is calling your name, saying, "Awaken." And this awakening is not soft, it's powerful. It shakes foundations. It redefines your atmosphere. People around you might not understand the change in you. Let them question. Let them wonder. The truth is, when heaven reveals who you are, the world has no choice but to adjust. Chosen one, take a deep breath. The weight you've carried is being lifted right now. Heaven is shifting things in your favor. Every closed door is being revisited by divine command. What you thought was lost is being rewritten into your story of redemption. You are not just hearing words, you are being realigned with divine purpose. The light that flickered in you when you were a child, that innocent sense that you were meant for something more, is not gone. It's being reignited right now. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13, verse 16, "But blessed are your eyes, because they see, and your ears, because they hear." This is your moment of vision, and hearing. You are no longer blind to what heaven has been trying to show you. The veil is lifting. Revelation is flowing. Heaven is saying, "Now, you will see clearly." So pause. Feel the gravity of this. You are standing on holy ground, not the kind beneath your feet, but the kind within your heart. Heaven is watching to see what you will do with what has just been revealed. If your spirit is stirring, if you can feel the truth vibrating through every part of you, it's time to act. Don't scroll away from your destiny. Don't silence what's been awakened. Declare it with boldness. Comment below your prophetic number, 77, as a sign that you have heard heaven's call. And if this word has reached deep into you, share it so others marked by the same light can find their awakening too. Like this message, comment your number, and subscribe, because this is only the beginning. The hidden scroll is open, and heaven is not done speaking. The noise around you grows louder every day. Voices compete for your attention screens. Opinions, fears, distractions, all pulling at your spirit like invisible hands. Yet, beneath all of it, there is a whisper, a voice that doesn't shout, but pierces. It doesn't demand, but it invites. You have felt it in quiet moments when the world falls silent. That soft nudge that says, "Listen." This is the whisper behind the noise, the divine frequency that only those who are tuned by heaven can hear. For a long time, you tried to silence it, afraid that it might demand too much. You told yourself it was imagination, emotion, coincidence. But each time you ignored it, life lost a little more color, and each time you listened, peace returned. That is how you know it is Him. The voice of your Maker never leads into confusion, it leads into clarity. The Spirit of God has been calling you in ways that seemed ordinary, in the delay, in the disappointment, in the unanswered prayer. He was speaking, but the language of heaven is not always made of words. Sometimes it's the stillness after chaos. Sometimes it's the strength to keep going when everything in you wants to stop. Sometimes it's the reminder that even when you can't see the way still exists. This whisper isn't just calling you to listen, it's calling you to remember. Before the world tried to teach you fear, before pain tried to teach you doubt, there was a time when you knew His voice. You recognized it in wonder, in innocence, in the quiet awe of creation. Heaven is calling you back to that place, the inner sanctuary where His voice is unmistakable. The world thrives on distraction because distraction dulls discernment. But your discernment is awakening. You are beginning to notice divine patterns that others overlook. The timing of events, the sudden alignment of small details, the messages that arrive right when you need them. All of it is heaven, weaving a tapestry in your life. The whisper behind the noise is shaping your destiny. Chosen one. When the whisper calls, it rarely comes with comfort. It asks you to step out, to leave what is familiar, to walk on waters that reason says cannot hold you. But the whisper carries assurance stronger than fear. It says, "Trust me." It says, "I know the path even when you cannot see it." This voice has been following you since birth. It has guarded you in danger, redirected you in confusion, and comforted you in loneliness. You are hearing it more clearly now because your spirit has matured to recognize it. Every battle you've endured has sharpened your hearing. Every heartbreak has refined your sensitivity to truth. What once sounded like uncertainty now resonates as certainty. You are not crazy for hearing what others cannot. You are not strange for feeling what others overlook. You are in tune with eternity. And eternity is speaking back. The voice behind the noise is the same that spoke stars into being, that commanded light to break the darkness. That voice now whispers inside you, saying, "Rise, and remember who you are." You must learn to trust that whisper more than the noise. The world will always offer opinions, but heaven offers truth. The noise is temporary, but the whisper is eternal. It cuts through confusion and brings peace that surpasses understanding. It doesn't argue, it simply is. When you are unsure which way to turn, silence everything for a moment. Breathe. Let your heart settle, and you will hear it again, the whisper that knows your name, the same whisper that called Moses from the bush, Samuel in the temple, Mary in her quiet room. You are in that same lineage of listeners, the ones who hear before they see, the ones who believe before they understand. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Isaiah, chapter 30. Verse 21, "Whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you. This is the way, walk in it." Daryl, that is the whisper you are learning to follow, the voice that doesn't just speak direction but embodies it. You are not being led blindly, you are being guided deliberately. Each step you take in obedience opens new levels of revelation. The whisper behind the noise becomes louder with every act of trust. So keep listening, in the quiet, in the waiting, in the tension. Listen. Heaven's frequency is locked to your name, and its message is this: you are not lost. You are being led. You have wondered why your life has never fit into the mold others tried to place you in. You have carried the weight of misunderstanding, the ache of being different, the quiet confusion of not knowing why you could feel so deeply what others ignored. But chosen one, it was never rejection, it was recognition. Heaven recognized you before the world knew your name. You were marked before birth, in the invisible realm, before your first cry echoed in time. Your destiny was written in the breath of God. Every fiber of your being was crafted with intentionality. You were not born by chance. You were released on assignment. That's why your battles have always been heavier. You are not fighting for comfort. You are fighting for calling. There were times you questioned if you were cursed because of how much loss surrounded you. But heaven whispers, "No, child. You are chosen, and chosen ones are refined, not ruined." The pain did not disqualify you, it prepared you. The loneliness did not break you, it trained you to hear the voice of God without noise. Look back at your life for a moment. See the patterns, the near misses, the strange protections, the moments where danger passed by, but somehow you remained untouched. That was not luck. That was preservation. Heaven marked you as untouchable until your purpose was ready to unfold. And that mark isn't visible to the eye, it's spiritual. That's why some people felt uneasy around you without knowing why. The light inside you irritated the darkness in them. Some walked away, not because you failed them, but because your presence convicted what they were trying to hide. Don't mourn those departures. They were divine separations. You have always been different because you carry what others do not. You see beyond surfaces. You sense things before they happen. You walk into a room and the atmosphere shifts, sometimes for peace, sometimes for war. That's what happens when the marked ones arrive. Heaven recognizes its own. You might not have understood it, but you were chosen to disrupt the ordinary, to break patterns that have bound your bloodline for generations. You were sent as an interruption to cycles of fear, poverty, and silence. That's why the attacks on you have been so precise, because darkness studies what threatens it. But the mark on you cannot be erased. The Word of God declares in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." Now, this is your confirmation. You are not late, not misplaced, not forgotten. You are set apart. Heaven's hand is upon you, even when you don't feel it. You are carrying divine blueprints that the earth hasn't seen yet. The dreams that seem too big for you are actually too small for what God intends to do through you. Chosen one. Though not resent your uniqueness. It is not a flaw, it is evidence. The enemy tried to make you believe your difference was a defect, but God is showing you now it was your distinction that preserved you. If you had blended in, you would have lost your power. If you had followed the crowd, you would have missed your calling. The fire in you that refuses to die. The hunger that keeps you reaching for more, even after disappointments. That's the mark speaking. It won't let you quit, because heaven hasn't finished writing your story. Every time you thought it was over, the mark said, "Not yet." Now, you are being reminded tonight. You are not just surviving, you are being refined. The gold in you is being purified by the heat of adversity. That's why you can no longer tolerate shallow things or meaningless noise. The marked can no longer feast on crumbs when they were born to sit at the king's table. And so, the Spirit says, embrace your difference. Walk boldly in what makes you uncommon. The world needs what you carry, and it cannot be duplicated. The oil on your life flows from wounds that others could not have survived. That is why you shine differently. Your light was forged in pain, not borrowed from others. Now, if your heart is burning as these words find you, respond to heaven's reminder. Type in the comments, "I am chosen." Do it not for attention, but as a prophetic act, an agreement in the unseen. Every time you declare it, you strengthen what heaven already decreed. You remind every lie, every doubt, every shadow that you know who you are. Say it once, and let your spirit echo it again and again. I am chosen, because you are, and nothing in this world, no voice of fear, nor rejection, and no failure, can erase the mark that was placed on your life before your very first breath. You did not choose this war. Chosen one. It chose you. From the moment heaven marked you, the unseen realm took notice. Light does not emerge without resistance. And every time you have tried to rise, darkness has pushed back. But what you must understand is that opposition is not always proof of failure. Sometimes it is confirmation of your power. There has been a battle raging around you that few can see. It has touched your relationships, your finances, your sleep, even your mind. You have felt waves of heaviness descend without warning, as if something invisible were pressing down upon your spirit. These are not random emotions, they are the tremors of spiritual warfare. When you carry divine purpose, you attract both angelic assistance and demonic interference. You've noticed it, haven't you? Every time you take a step forward, something seems to try to pull you back. Opportunities that appear and vanish. People who turn cold without explanation. Sudden confusion. Right when clarity was within reach. These are not coincidences. They are counterattacks. Because once a chosen one awakens, the enemy begins to panic. You've been targeted not because you're weak, but because you're powerful. The adversary is terrified of what will happen when you fully realize who you are. That's why he's tried to exhaust you with small battles, so you'll never gather strength for the great one. He wants you to think you're fighting alone, but heaven has been surrounding you all along. The Spirit spoke through the Apostle Paul in the letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. This battle is not between you and people, it is between light and darkness. Your true enemies are not those who misunderstand you, but the unseen powers trying to silence what God has placed within you. When you begin to perceive this truth, the way you fight changes. You stop wasting energy on arguments and start warring in the Spirit. You stop seeking revenge and start seeking revelation. Chosen one, heaven is calling you to stand firm. You are not defenseless. The armor of God has been tailored for you, truth around your waist, righteousness as your covering, faith as your shield. When you speak light into darkness, the very atmosphere begins to shift. You do not fight for victory, you fight from victory. The battle was already decided the moment you were chosen. Still, the enemy will try to deceive you. He will whisper that you're unworthy, that your mistakes have disqualified you. But he is terrified of your awakening, because once you realize that grace is your armor, shame loses its weapon. The blood that covers you speaks louder than any accusation against you. Think of the times you almost gave up, the near accidents, the sudden sicknesses, the unexpected betrayals, yet somehow you survived them all. That was not coincidence. Every escape was evidence that heaven intervened. Angels have walked beside you in storms you didn't even know were raging. There will still be battles. Yes, but you are no longer fighting unaware. You are beginning to discern patterns in the warfare, the moments it intensifies right before a breakthrough, the sudden heaviness before a new revelation. Once you recognize it, you can no longer be manipulated by it. You become dangerous to darkness because you now understand its timing. This war has also purified your vision. You no longer chase comfort, you crave purpose. You have learned that peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of God in the middle of it. You are no longer a victim of the storm, you are the calm in the center of it. Every time you choose forgiveness over bitterness, heaven records it as a victory. Every time you worship instead of worry, you strike a blow against the enemy's plan. Every time you rise when you could have stayed down, hell trembles. Chosen one, your life is not falling apart. It's being rearranged for battle. The pressure you feel is preparation. You are being equipped to carry what others could not. The war you didn't choose is the training that makes you unstoppable. And one day, when the dust settles, those who doubted you will see that you were never fighting alone. They will realize that what looked like struggle was actually strategy, and that every loss was part of a greater victory already written by the hand of God. So stand tall. Even when the wind howls, keep your eyes fixed on the unseen. The war may be fierce, but the one who called you is fierce beyond measure. You were born for this battle, and heaven never loses what it defends. There comes a moment when heaven interrupts your ordinary rhythm, when the noise of life fades and something sacred presses pause. Chosen one. This is that moment. Heaven's interruption is not punishment. It is preservation. It's like when lightning flashes in the middle of a dark storm, not to frighten you, but to reveal where you stand. You've been walking through your days, carrying burdens too heavy for one heart to bear, whispering prayers into the night that felt unanswered. But heaven has heard every word. Sometimes, God doesn't answer immediately because He wants to change the question. You asked for escape, but He is offering elevation. You asked for relief, but He is preparing renewal. This divine interruption is the Father saying, "Pause. Look up. Let me show you what you've been missing while you were surviving." You see, when you are always moving, you can mistake motion for progress. But heaven's stillness is where your spirit learns direction. Heaven's interruptions often feel like inconvenience, a lost opportunity, a closed door, an unexpected delay. Yet if you look closely, those pauses were the protection of your destiny. Like a loving parent pulling a child back from a busy road, heaven sometimes stops you to save you. Every no that confused you was guarding you from something too small for your calling. Think of your life as a tapestry woven from light and shadow. The dark threads, the pain, the waiting, the confusion are not random. They are the contrast that makes the golden threads of destiny visible. What you thought was silence was God weaving in secret. The Spirit speaks through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 37, verse 23. The steps of a good person are ordered by the Lord, and He delights in their way. Even when your path feels uncertain, heaven delights in your journey. Every detour is direction in disguise. You may not see the pattern now, but the designer never loses control of his masterpiece. Heaven's interruption isn't just to show you where you are, it's to realign you with what matters. Maybe you've been pouring into everyone else until your own well ran dry. Maybe you've been fighting battles that were never yours to carry. Or maybe, deep inside, you felt that quiet tug saying, "It's time to come back to what's real." This interruption is that tug becoming a thunder. And so, let this moment breathe. You don't have to rush to fix everything. You don't have to understand the entire plan. You just have to be still long enough to hear heaven's heartbeat again. When God pauses your schedule, it's not to waste time, it's to rewrite time. You see, interruption is heaven's way of planting seeds. Sometimes the seed is a word. Sometimes it's a person. Sometimes it's an opportunity disguised as loss. But every seed sown in faith will rise again in power. Beloved, when you listen to messages like this, you are not consuming content, you are receiving spiritual bread. Words like these are the oil that keeps your inner flame from fading in the storm. And when heaven moves you to share, to support, to help keep the flame alive, you are participating in the work of light. So, if this message is pouring peace into the cracks of your heart, let that peace overflow. Like this message, if it spoke to the places that words rarely reach, share it not for numbers or attention, but so another weary soul might find the same light you just found. And if you feel the call to stand with this mission, to keep these streams of revelation flowing, consider giving, not out of pressure, but out of gratitude. Even the smallest seed can keep the lamp burning for another soul, stumbling through darkness. Your kindness, your comments, your gifts, they are not transactions, they are torches. Together, we build an altar of light in the middle of a weary digital world. And when you subscribe, you're not joining a channel, you're joining a circle of awakening. You become part of the chorus of chosen ones, answering heaven's whisper with, "Yes, I hear you." And imagine it like this, somewhere right now. Another person is scrolling through shadows, searching for a sign that hope still exists. When you engage, when you give, when you share, you become the bridge between their question and heaven's answer. That's how divine interruptions multiply through hearts willing to carry the message forward. Heaven's interruption is never random. It always births restoration. You are not just a listener. You are a link in the chain of miracles. Every act of faith keeps the river flowing, and that river will one day circle back to refresh you. So, pause a little longer. Let heaven interrupt your fear, your rush, your routine. Let this moment rewrite your story. The scroll of your destiny is still turning, and what's coming next will make every interruption make sense. You can feel it, the shift in the atmosphere around you. Something divine is unlocking, and your spirit knows it before your mind can explain it. This is not imagination. Chosen one. This is alignment. Heaven is synchronizing your steps with a moment that has been waiting for you. You have reached what prophets once called the appointed hour, the moment when hidden things begin to surface and divine codes are revealed to those who have ears to hear. Everything that has felt delayed is now beginning to move. What once felt locked is trembling under the pressure of divine timing. There are seasons when heaven moves quietly, whispering direction. But then there are moments like this, when heaven roars, and what was sealed begins to open. This is one of those moments. You are stepping into what I call the code 777 moment, where spiritual gates respond to faith, not fear. But for you, heaven releases a new number, a new alignment, 888, the number of resurrection, renewal, and divine new beginnings. When God gives you a number, He gives you a signal, a frequency to align with. It's not superstition, it's synchronization. Numbers in the language of heaven are like chords in a song. They carry vibration, order, and intention. Look around you. The evidence of transition is everywhere. Old relationships fade. New ones emerge. Opportunities once closed begin to whisper again. The things you used to chase are now being drawn to you. This is the manifestation of 888, the cycle of endings giving birth to beginnings. Do not resist this shift. Heaven is rewriting the script. The things that once frustrated you were only divine redirections. You have been walking through a hallway of closed doors, but now you stand before the one that opens effortlessly. The sound you hear is not chaos, it's the sound of locks turning. According to what is revealed in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 8, Z. I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. I know that you have little strength, yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. And this is the promise that surrounds you now. You don't have to push this door open. It was made for your arrival. You simply have to walk through it. Heaven has measured your endurance, your obedience, and your resilience. And now, reward is meeting resistance. You might still feel unsure, because old wounds whisper that nothing good lasts. But this time, it's different. The pattern of failure is breaking. The door that opens now is not temporary. It is eternal in its origin. It leads to peace that doesn't vanish when storms return. This is why you've been feeling spiritual tension. It's not warfare anymore, it's birth. The pressure you feel is not an attack, it's expansion. Heaven is enlarging your territory, stretching your faith to hold more glory. Don't confuse the contractions of birthing with the chaos of battle. One tries to kill you, the other is trying to bring you forth. Chosen one. Your obedience has not gone unnoticed. Every moment you chose faith when fear was easier, every tear you sowed in silence, heaven recorded them all. And now, the harvest begins. The code 888 is your signal that resurrection power is stirring in what seemed lifeless. Dead dreams are breathing again. Forgotten visions are awakening. Old promises are resurfacing, shining with new light. The same God who spoke galaxies into existence is speaking into your situation now, saying, "Live again." But listen, heaven moves where agreement exists. When you align with this message, you make room for manifestation. This is why prophetic numbers matter. They are signs of unity between your spirit and divine intent. When you respond, you signal heaven, "I'm ready." So in this sacred moment, pause and let your spirit speak. If you feel this word vibrating through your being, if your heart burns with recognition, seal it with action. Comment the prophetic number 888 below. This is not ritual, it's recognition. It's not about superstition, it's about synchronization. When you write it, you are declaring, "I agree with heaven's new beginning." You are stamping your faith onto the moment heaven ordained for you. And when you do, watch how things begin to move, how people call unexpectedly, how doors open suddenly, how peace settles deeply, because alignment always produces acceleration. Chosen one. You are stepping into a season where you no longer chase light, it follows you. The sound of chains breaking, doors opening, and hearts healing will surround you in the days ahead. Heaven has written this next chapter in gold, and you are walking right into it. Remember the code 888. New beginnings, new breath, new power. This is your sign that heaven has not forgotten you. The old cycle is over, and the scroll of your destiny is turning to a brand new page. You've walked through seasons of delay that felt endless, doors half opened, only to shut again. Promise dangled before you, then vanished into silence. You've wondered if perhaps heaven forgot your address, if maybe your prayers had lost their weight. But chosen one, delay is not denial. What feels like stillness is strategy. The time you thought was wasted was actually the soil where your strength took root. Every chosen one walks through the slow fire of preparation. The waiting season, though painful, was the forge that shaped your endurance. God was not punishing you, He was protecting what He placed within you. You cannot rush something meant to last forever. What heaven builds in haste, hell can destroy. But what heaven builds in patience, hell cannot touch. You've been wondering why doors others walked through with ease seem to resist you. The answer is simple. Those doors were too small for your destiny. You were never meant to enter through shortcuts. The hand of God delayed you because He was enlarging your capacity, You have been maturing in silence, growing roots deeper than applause could reach. There were nights when you cried out, "Why am I still here? Why hasn't it happened yet?" And heaven whispered, "Because you are not being prepared for ordinary. Your calling requires structure, strong foundations that cannot crack under pressure. Every detour, every rejection, every delay has been building that unseen structure inside you." The prophet Isaiah recorded in the sacred writings, chapter 60, verse 22, "When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen." No, delay has also been your teacher. It taught you discernment, how to tell divine timing from human impulse. It taught you humility, how to depend not on your own pace, but on God's rhythm. And it taught you gratitude, how to value what comes after the long wait, because you know what it costs. You may not have realized it, but your waiting has been warfare. Every time you stayed faithful when it would have been easier to quit, heaven recorded it as victory. Every time you kept walking when your feet were tired, angels strengthened the ground beneath you. You didn't just survive the delay, you conquered it. Now, as you stand on the threshold of movement, you can sense it, the subtle shift in the air, the quiet anticipation in your spirit. It's like the hush before sunrise. When the sky holds its breath before bursting into color, you are moments away from what you've been praying for. But it will not arrive like you expect. It will not come through the path you once chased. It will appear quietly, like morning light slipping through the cracks of a long night. Chosen one, the chains of delay are breaking, not with noise, but with revelation. The lesson you've learned has unlocked the gate. Heaven often waits until you can carry the blessing without it crushing you. And now, you can. You've been refined by patience, purified by disappointment, strengthened by hope that refused to die. This breaking isn't dramatic, it's sacred. One day soon, you will look back and realize that the things you thought were holding you back were actually holding you steady. Every unanswered prayer, every not yet, every closed door, they were all scaffolding for what's being built in you. Do you see it now? Delay is not the opposite of destiny, it's the doorway to it. Without the waiting, you would have settled. Without the stillness, you would have missed the whisper. Without the pause, you would have stepped into blessings too soon and misunderstood their weight. The chains that bound your movement are turning into crowns of endurance. You are not late, you are right on divine schedule. Heaven's timing is a rhythm, and your heartbeat is beginning to match it. What once felt like resistance is now becoming release. Take this moment to breathe. The rushing can stop now. You don't need to chase what is already chasing you. The blessings that once hid from you are now commanded to find you. The people meant to walk with you are being drawn to you. The resources you need are being aligned as you read these very words. You've walked through delay, but you will not dwell in it. You've been held back, but now you are being propelled. You are crossing from waiting to walking, from holding your breath to speaking your breakthrough aloud. Heaven is saying, "Well done." The chains of delay are not only breaking, they are dissolving into dust. Nothing that once restrained you will recognize the version of you that is emerging now. The waiting was your wilderness, but the wilderness has ended. When you finally begin to see yourself clearly, it is both beautiful and unsettling. The illusions that once protected you start to crumble, and what remains is truth unfiltered, undeniable, and radiant. Chosen one, This is the moment when heaven holds up a mirror, not to shame you, but to show you what he has always seen. You have looked into many mirrors in your life, some offered by the world, some by people who misunderstood you, and some crafted by your own fears. Each reflection carried a distortion. One showed you as too weak. Another said you were too late. Some whispered that you were unworthy, but none of them told the truth. The mirror of heaven reveals something far greater, your divine design. The world has taught you to measure yourself by results, appearance, approval, and applause. Yet heaven measures differently. Heaven looks not at what you produce, but at what you carry. You were never created to imitate, you were created to embody. The light within you has always been your true identity, even when shadows tried to disguise it. According to the writings of James, chapter 1, verse 25, "But whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom, and continues in it, not forgetting what they have heard, but doing it, they will be blessed in what they do." This is not just instruction, it's liberation. The mirror of truth doesn't expose your flaws, it reveals your freedom. It invites you to remember what you've seen and to walk accordingly. The reflection of heaven is not fragile, it's eternal, chosen one. When you begin to truly see yourself, you also begin to see why the enemy fought you so relentlessly. He was never afraid of who you were, he was terrified of who you'd realize you are. He can only manipulate those who forget their reflection. That's why confusion, comparison, and self-doubt have stalked you for so long. They were designed to cloud the mirror, but the mist is lifting now. The light is returning. The truth is standing in front of you like a sunrise. And it says, you are more than your mistakes. You are more than your fears. You are the image of the eternal, breathing through flesh and time. Look again, not with your natural eyes, but with your spirit. See the pattern of grace woven through your scars. Notice how every broken season has added depth to your compassion. Realize how your survival has become testimony. You are not the person who failed. You are the person who got back up. That is the reflection heaven sees. There is power in remembrance. When you look into heaven's mirror and remember who you are, chains fall. Fear loses its language. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, expect differently. You stop begging for what is already inside you. You stop chasing affirmation and start embodying authority. Heaven's mirror doesn't show perfection, it shows purpose. You will still have flaws, but even they become fingerprints of divine craftsmanship. The way you love, the way you feel deeply, the way you carry both fire and gentleness, these are not contradictions, they are balance. You were designed as a vessel that holds both justice and mercy, both strength and tenderness. Seeing yourself clearly is also an act of warfare. Every revelation of your identity dismantles a lie that once controlled you. When you believe the truth about yourself, you become ungovernable by fear. Darkness loses its access point because self-doubt was its doorway. You have spent so long trying to earn worthiness, but worthiness was woven into you before you took your first breath. The Creator didn't make a mistake when He made you. He placed His image inside you and called it good. To deny your worth is to question His wisdom. So now, when you stand before this mirror of calling, don't look away. Let the light reveal both the beauty and the bruises. Let it remind you that the two can coexist. Your story is not disqualified by its imperfections. it's authenticated by them. Every healed scar becomes a window where light passes through. The world around you may still misread you, but heaven never will. People may see fragments, but God sees the full design. The reflection that looks back at you in this sacred mirror is the truest version of yourself, whole, radiant, chosen, and unstoppable. Take a moment to feel that truth settling into your bones. The mirror is not glass, it is revelation. You are looking at destiny, not disguise. You are seeing what was hidden behind the noise and expectations. And once you have seen it, you can never unsee it again. There is a sacred moment in every chosen one's journey when silence turns into surrender. You've heard the whisper, felt the stirring, seen the signs, but now, heaven waits for your response. This is that moment. The invitation has already been extended. What heaven desires now is your agreement. Chosen one. Surrender is not weakness, it is alignment. It is the decision to stop wrestling against divine direction and start flowing with it. You have fought long enough to keep control, to make sense of what was never meant to be explained, to carry burdens that heaven has already offered to lift. Every time you've said, "I can handle this," grace has quietly waited for you to say, "God, I can't without you." And this is not a call to give up, it is a call to give in. The moment you stop resisting is the moment the current of destiny starts carrying you faster than effort ever could. When you release control, you don't lose power, you gain peace. You have always been strong, but strength is not measured by how long you endure the storm. It's measured by how willing you are to hand the wheel to the one who commands the sea. The Spirit declares through the writings in Proverbs, chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight. There's a special kind of peace that follows obedience. It doesn't mean the storm disappears. It means you stop being tossed by it. It means your trust becomes the anchor while the world spins. When you surrender, you shift from asking, "Why me?" to declaring, "Use me." And that shift changes everything. Heaven doesn't require perfection. It requires permission. God cannot fill what you keep closed. But the moment you say, "Here I am," everything changes. The winds that once opposed you begin to carry you. The delays that once frustrated you become the roads that lead you home. This moment, right here, is sacred. The air feels different because heaven is leaning close. You've been searching for a sign, and this is it. The Spirit is saying, "Stop fighting. Let me lead." No, you've spent too much time replaying the past, trying to fix what's already been redeemed. Let it go. The burden is heavier than you realize, and it's not yours to carry anymore. Heaven has already written redemption into the part of your story that broke you. You don't need to rewrite it, you just need to release it. When you surrender, something supernatural happens. You stop surviving and start soaring. You stop existing and start expanding. Surrender doesn't shrink you. It restores you to your original size, the version of you that heaven designed before pain distorted the picture. This is the space where miracles begin. When your hands are empty, God can finally fill them. When your heart stops grasping for control, peace has room to enter. This is where surrender becomes strength, the paradox of power in stillness. Chosen one, you have nothing left to prove. You have already endured the breaking. Now comes the building. Heaven is not asking for your perfection, only your permission. The question is simple. Will you let go? Pause and feel the weight of that question. Don't rush it. Every part of your soul knows the answer already. It's just waiting for your mouth to agree. Now, if your spirit is stirring, if something inside you knows this is truth, calling out to you, seal it. Type in the comments, I surrender. Oh, this isn't for performance, it's for alignment. When you type those 2 words, you're not just commenting, you're confirming heaven's invitation. You're marking the moment when your will bows and your destiny begins to rise. You're saying to the unseen world, I release my grip so God can take hold. And lo, let it be your declaration tonight. Let it echo in the unseen, louder than fear, clearer than doubt. Because every time a chosen one says, I surrender, the heavens respond, then let there be light. And lo, you will notice it soon. Doors that felt locked will begin to open gently. The pressure in your spirit will turn to peace. The noise will fade. And in its place, clarity will come. Not because you fought harder, but because you finally stopped fighting the wrong battle. The most powerful weapon heaven ever gave you is not your willpower, it's your willingness. Your surrender is your sword, and with it, you cut through every lie that ever told you that control equals safety. Real safety has never been in control, it's been in trust. Chosen one, take this as your holy reminder. What you release, God redeems. What you surrender, He strengthens. What you give up, He multiplies. The life you've been clinging to is nothing compared to the one waiting on the other side of surrender. The air around you has shifted again. What once felt heavy now begins to lift, as though invisible hands are removing the weight that years of warfare placed upon your shoulders. This is what happens when heaven sends the mantle. It doesn't come as fireworks or noise, it comes as peace. Chosen one, heaven is clothing you with something unseen yet undeniable. You may not feel worthy, but that is precisely why you were chosen. God does not place mantles on the flawless, He places them on the faithful. This is the season when the invisible crown becomes visible through your actions, your words, and your love. When Elijah passed his cloak to Elisha, it wasn't just fabric, it was a transfer of fire, wisdom, and authority. And now, in the Spirit, something similar is happening to you. You are being entrusted with an assignment bigger than yourself. The dreams that won't leave you, the burdens that move your heart when others stay unmoved, those are hints of the mantle resting upon you. You might feel unprepared, but mantles rarely fall on those who feel ready. They fall on those who have been refined in private. You've been through nights of tears and days of silence, and each of those moments was heaven's classroom. You were learning obedience when no one was watching. You were learning endurance when no one was clapping. Now heaven says, you've passed the test. It is written in the 2nd book of Kings, chapter 2, verse 15. The company of prophets from Jericho, watching, said, the spirit of Elijah is resting on Elisha. As they went to meet him and bowed to the ground. You are stepping into that same kind of recognition, not from people, but from purpose. Heaven acknowledges what earth is only beginning to notice. You have carried the weight of the wilderness, and now you will carry the wind of the Spirit. When the mantle descends, it may not come with applause. Often, It comes quietly through the word that stirs you at midnight, through compassion that compels you to act when others look away. Your mantle might look like kindness in chaos, courage in crisis, or wisdom in confusion. Whatever form it takes, it is your divine fingerprint in motion. Think of it this way: a mantle is like an invisible torch passed down through generations. Every time you choose obedience over fear, you keep that flame alive. Every time you use your voice to lift another, you become part of heaven's relay. You are not just receiving something, you are continuing something. And just as the prophet's mantle carried weight, so too does yours. But it's not a burden to crush you. It's a responsibility to expand you. You are being called to influence not by shouting louder, but by burning brighter. Your presence alone will begin to shift rooms. You will bring calm where there was chaos, light where there was confusion, and hope where there was despair. Now, if these words are stirring something inside you, if you feel the mantle settling over your spirit, pause for a moment and honor this holy exchange. This is not just inspiration, it is impartation. You're not just hearing, you're receiving. And as you receive, remember this: mantles multiply when they're shared. The oil doesn't run out when it's poured out, it increases. So when you feel led, share this message. Let the same light that's igniting your heart reach someone who's still searching for their fire. Like this message, if it touched something sacred in you, not for numbers, but as a public amen, a small act of agreement that says, yes, he received my mantle. Every like, every share becomes another spark that lights up the digital sky with truth. And if you feel moved to go further, to help this mission keep pouring light into the weary, consider supporting it. Donate not as a transaction, but as worship. Like the widow who poured oil into the prophet's jar, your seed becomes part of a miracle. You're not giving to a voice, you're giving to a movement of restoration. Every drop you pour keeps the flame burning for those who still wander in the dark. And when you subscribe, understand this: you're not joining a channel, you're stepping into covenant community. You're saying, count me among those who carry the light. Together, we become a network of fire bearers, spreading warmth to the corners of the earth that algorithms cannot reach. Chosen one. The mantle doesn't just rest, it multiplies. It grows stronger with every act of love, every word of truth, every seed of generosity. You may not see it with your eyes yet, but in the unseen, you are glowing brighter than ever before. So, lift your head. Feel the weight of heaven resting gently on your shoulders. The mantle has found its home. You are not just a listener, you are a carrier of glory. You have been entrusted, empowered, and anointed for such a time as this. The wilderness is not endless, though when you were walking through it, it often felt that way. You prayed, and the heavens were silent. You gave, and nothing seemed to return. You obeyed, and still, the night lingered. Yet, even then, God was not absent. He was hidden in the silence, sculpting your spirit like a potter, working clay in secret. Every chosen one must walk through their desert. It is where comfort dies and conviction is born. It is where faith stops being theory and becomes survival. You have been in that place, the dry land of unanswered prayers, the long stretches of stillness where it seemed that even hope had forgotten your name. But the wilderness has a purpose. It strips you of what was never truly yours, so that you can recognize what has been yours all along. In the wilderness, you learned to distinguish between noise and voice. You learned that divine silence is not absence, it's intimacy. God whispers in that silence because He wants you close enough to hear without distraction. Every barren day was preparing you for the abundance that now draws near. The Word of God declares in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 8, verse 2, "Remember how the Lord your God led you all the way in the wilderness these 40 years, to humble and test you in order to know what was in your heart, whether or not you would keep His commands." The desert reshaped your vision. What once seemed like punishment became revelation. The same ground that scorched your feet began to sprout streams of living water the moment you stopped complaining and started listening. You learned that miracles often wear the disguise of monotony. Manna doesn't look like abundance, it looks like survival, but it keeps you alive long enough to reach promise. Chosen one. Every season of isolation taught you a language you could not have learned in crowds. You learned the sound of still waters, the rhythm of unseen provision, the presence of peace without explanation. You learned that joy can exist without evidence, and hope can breathe even when logic says it shouldn't. You might have entered the wilderness broken, but you are leaving it built. What the desert took from you in comfort, it returned in clarity. You no longer depend on the approval of people who cannot understand your journey. You no longer crave shortcuts that steal your strength. You have learned the art of walking slow but sure, of trusting the cloud by day and the fire by night. The wilderness also taught you the sacred value of small things, the quiet sunrise after a sleepless night, the sudden laughter that breaks through sorrow, the strength to pray one more time when words feel heavy. These are not small victories, they are seeds of resilience, planted deep by God Himself. You've walked long enough to know now that the wilderness was never meant to last forever. Every test has an end, and every desert hides a river beneath its surface. The wind is shifting. The air smells of rain. The same ground that once cracked with drought is about to bloom with promise. You are crossing out of scarcity into sufficiency. The manna is about to cease because milk and honey are near. Where you once scraped for survival, you will soon gather in overflow. Where you once begged for signs, you will now become the sign for others. Still wandering, this next phase will feel unfamiliar at first. After so much struggle, peace may seem strange. You'll have to remind yourself that it's safe now, that you don't need to fight everything that moves. The armor that once protected you can now rest. You are moving from battle into building, and when you look back at the wilderness, you won't resent it. You'll honor it. You'll understand that it was never a detour. It was the direct route to destiny. Every grain of sand beneath your feet was part of the map. Every trial, every delay, every tear, each one was necessary. So now, lift your eyes. The horizon has changed. The wilderness is behind you, and before you lies a landscape bursting with color, opportunity, and peace. You are no longer a wanderer. You are a carrier of wisdom. You carry the scent of survival, the glow of glory, the quiet confidence of one who has walked with God and lived to tell the story. The desert season is over. Streams are forming in the wasteland, and songs are returning to your mouth. You have graduated from endurance to expansion. What once broke you has now built you. The wilderness ends, but its lessons will never leave you. There are moments in your life when everything that was scattered begins to align. When heaven's voice whispers, "It is finished." not as an end, but as a sacred turning point. Chosen one, you have come to that threshold, the closing of an old chapter and the sealing of a new covenant. What has been incomplete is reaching its divine conclusion. For too long, your life felt like unfinished sentences, doors that never closed properly, relationships that lingered without peace, dreams that seemed to start but never stabilize. But heaven is now sealing the old cycles. Every lesson has been learned, every delay has served its purpose. The circle that kept repeating is breaking open into a straight path. It was proclaimed in the book of Philippians, chapter 1, verse 6, being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. Completion does not mean ending, it means fulfillment. It means the promises that once hovered like clouds are now ready to pour as rain. Heaven doesn't forget what it begins. What was planted in earlier seasons, faith, patience, endurance, is now bearing fruit. The fruit doesn't just appear overnight. It ripens quietly until one day it's ready. And heaven says, now, chosen one, you are standing in that now. The waiting has refined you. The storms have clarified you. What others saw as delay was God ensuring that the foundation beneath you could hold what He's about to release. The completion that's coming isn't just external, it's internal. It's the peace that comes when your heart and heaven finally agree. Completion means closure, too. There are doors that must remain shut, connections that cannot travel with you any further. This isn't cruelty, it's calibration. When God seals a chapter, He isn't rejecting people or places, He's protecting purpose. Some things were only meant to carry you to a certain point. Their assignment in your life is complete. Honor it, release it, and move forward. The seal of completion is also a seal of rest. You are entering a season where striving ends. You no longer need to chase what's already appointed to find you. The pressure to perform, to prove, to please, it's dissolving. You are enough because God is in what you carry. Completion doesn't remove responsibility, it transforms it. You will still work, but with flow instead of force. You will still move, but guided instead of guessing. You will still dream, but with divine direction. The heavy labor of proving yourself is giving way to the light rhythm of purpose. You'll notice how the past begins to lose its grip on your emotions. The old wounds don't sting like they used to. The memories that once brought pain now carry wisdom. This is the healing work of completion. It rewrites the way you remember. It redeems your story. Even in nature, everything has cycles: seed, growth, harvest, rest. You have walked through all these phases, and now you are standing in the harvest season. Don't rush past it. Don't doubt it because it feels too peaceful to be real. Rest is not laziness, it's a reward. Heaven is saying, you've done well. You've endured the test. Now, watch what I've prepared while you were still becoming. You are not entering something new because you earned it. You are entering it because you were faithful when no one saw. That's the true mark of completion. When heaven seals something, it's permanent. What once leaked away through fear or forgetfulness is now protected. Grace surrounds you like invisible armor. Opportunities that belong to you cannot pass you by anymore. The timing, the connections, the resources, they're all aligning now. You have arrived at the doorway of divine balance. No more swinging between hope and despair. No more starting and stopping. What begins now continues. What opens now remains open. The cycle of almost is over. So pause for a moment and breathe this in. Feel the quiet certainty of completion resting on your shoulders. This is not the end of your story, it's the stabilization of your foundation. From here, you will build without fear of collapse. And if your heart recognizes this truth, if something inside you whispers, "This is me," then respond in faith. Type in the comments, 11, 11. It's not a number of chance, it's a prophetic sign of agreement. When you write it, you are sealing this season with your own faith. You are declaring, "I am aligned with divine completion. I receive the closing of what must end and the opening of what must begin." And let that number be your testimony, your covenant symbol with heaven. Because this time, what starts in your life will not fade, it will flourish. The old chapter closes, the seal is set, and the story ahead will read like restoration. Chosen one, the seal of completion has been pressed upon you. Walk forward knowing this: what God finishes, no force can undo. You are beginning to notice it subtle, almost invisible, yet unmistakably divine. You are not alone anymore. The air around you hums with a new kind of energy, the quiet confirmation that the scattered sparks of heaven are gathering. The chosen are finding one another. Souls marked by the same light are being drawn together, as if pulled by a gravitational field that human logic cannot explain. This is the gathering of the remnant, the moment heaven calls its hidden warriors out of isolation. You were never meant to carry the fire alone. For too long, you felt like the only one awake in a world asleep, the only heart that burns for something more, while others seem content with noise and distraction. But now, you are beginning to see flickers of that same flame in other eyes. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Malachi. Chapter 3, verse 16. Then those who feared the Lord spoke with one another, and the Lord listened and heard them. A scroll of remembrance was written in his presence concerning those who feared the Lord and honored his name. And the remnant is not defined by numbers, but by purity of fire. These are not perfect people, they are purified ones. Many of them have walked through the same wilderness you just left. They carry the same scars, the same strange sense of destiny, the same unexplainable endurance. They've been through breaking, through silence, through pruning, and now, like you, they're awakening to their collective call. When remnants gather, the atmosphere shifts. The very ground beneath them recognizes their unity. Their words begin to build bridges across generations. Their prayers pierce through strongholds that individual strength could never break. You can feel that resonance already, can't you? The pull toward those who speak your spiritual language without you having to translate it. Each remnant carries a fragment of divine blueprint. Alone, you burn bright, but together, you become a constellation. Heaven has been waiting for this alignment, for the scattered lights to form patterns again. What the world calls coincidence is heaven arranging its army. You may not recognize all of them immediately. Some will appear gentle, others bold. Some will speak with fire, others with wisdom. Some will walk beside you quietly. Others will stir the atmosphere when they enter a room. But all of them will carry the same signature, the scent of surrender, the sound of truth, the steadiness that only comes from surviving the furnace. This gathering is not for comfort, It's for commission. The remnant is being assembled not to hide from the world, but to heal it. Each chosen one brings a portion of heaven's design. Some carry strategy, others carry sound, others carry mercy, intercession, or creativity. When these gifts converge, revival begins, not as noise, but as nourishment. Heaven is weaving an invisible network right now, across cities, nations, even digital spaces. Hearts that once felt disconnected are beginning to recognize each other by light, not by label. You may notice new people entering your life with unusual timing, conversations that feel strangely significant, collaborations that seem effortless. These are divine junctions, the meeting points of the remnant. This gathering is sacred because it restores what fragmentation tried to destroy. For years, the enemy's strategy has been division, to make each chosen one believe they were alone, misunderstood, or misplaced. But now heaven is countering with connection. Unity is becoming the new warfare. There is something healing about realizing you were never the only one. The burden becomes lighter when you see others carrying the same kind of flame. You begin to understand that the isolation was only an incubation, that while you thought you were forgotten, heaven was preparing a generation just like you. The remnant doesn't gather in pride, it gathers in purpose. Its strength isn't in performance, but in presence. When 2 or 3 chosen ones meet in truth, the atmosphere becomes a tabernacle. Words turn into worship, plans turn into prophecy, and hearts find home again. Soon, you'll notice it more often. You'll meet eyes with someone, and in that instant, there will be recognition, no introductions needed. It will feel like remembering, not discovering. You'll know, this one carries the same mark. The gathering has already begun. Heaven is orchestrating it quietly, threading the connections, aligning the times, stirring the hearts. What starts as whispers will one day roar like thunder, a chorus of voices declaring truth in unison. A sound so pure it shakes nations awake. So don't be surprised when you meet someone whose spirit feels like home. Don't dismiss divine coincidences. The remnant is rising, and you are part of it. The very isolation that once felt like exile was the preparation for this unity. You were never alone. You were simply waiting for your tribe to awaken. The light is rising. What began as a whisper in one heart is becoming a symphony across many. The remnant has gathered, and now the next chapter begins, the rise of the light bearers. You can feel it. Chosen one, deep in the center of your being. The time for hiding has ended. The time for shining has begun. This is not the soft glow of comfort, it is the fierce brilliance of purpose. Light bearers do not exist merely to illuminate, they exist to expose, to awaken, to transform. You carry a flame that has survived storms, betrayals, and the crushing weight of delay. That flame has not only endured, it has intensified. Now, heaven commands it to rise. As Jesus declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." And that declaration was not poetic, it was prophetic. When light rises, darkness reorganizes. When truth walks into a room, deception trembles. You, beloved, are no longer just surviving, you are disrupting. Every step you take now carries the authority of revelation. You will see it soon. The quiet ones who once doubted their worth will begin to speak with fire. The wounded who thought they had nothing left to give will rise as healers. Those who were mocked for their faith will become voices of authority. Every story of pain will turn into a beacon for someone still lost in the night. The rise of light is not loud, it is consistent. It is the daily choice to love when anger would be easier, to forgive when bitterness seems justified, to tell the truth when silence feels safer. Each of those small choices releases waves of brightness that ripple beyond what you can see. Remember, darkness cannot comprehend light. It only reacts to it. You will face resistance. Yes, but that resistance is proof that your presence has purpose. The brighter you become, the more strategic your placement becomes. Light is always sent to the places where it's needed most. You will notice the shift in your surroundings. The same environments that once drained, you will begin to change because of you. Conversations will shift tone when you speak. Atmospheres will soften when you walk in, not because of anything you do outwardly, but because of what you carry inwardly. The spirit that burns within you is contagious. You are entering an age where spiritual visibility matters more than physical visibility. Heaven is amplifying those who carry purity, humility, and truth, not to glorify them, but to reach those still searching for home. You are part of that amplification. Your story is a lantern. Every scar is a testimony that light can bleed through broken things. Chosen one. The rise of the light bearers isn't a future event. It's unfolding now. Across continents, languages, and screens, the chosen are stepping forward. Teachers, artists, prophets, healers, intercessors, all glowing with the same holy fire. Each is a note in heaven's great melody of restoration. And you, yes, you are one of them. Your voice, your compassion, your endurance are no longer small acts. They are weapons of illumination. Every time you choose light, darkness loses ground. Every time you show love, despair loses a foothold. Every time you speak truth, confusion loses its power. Do not underestimate the reach of your radiance. The smallest candle can expose the vastest room of shadow. You are not insignificant. You are strategic. Heaven placed you exactly where your light could pierce the deepest gloom. There will be moments when you'll feel the fatigue of constant shining. When that happens, return to the source. The flame you carry is not self-generated. It is borrowed light, sustained by grace. You don't have to perform brightness. You only need to remain connected. The rise of the light bearers marks the beginning of a global dawn. The night is retreating. Slowly but surely. The darkness that once seemed endless is losing its territory. The sound of chains breaking is becoming the soundtrack of this generation. Look around, and you will see it, the glow spreading. One soul at a time. Together, you form the sunrise of heaven's new day. You are the answer to someone's prayer. The fulfillment of a prophecy spoken long ago. Chosen one. Stand tall. The mantle upon you has turned to flame. You are not the echo of the old world. You are the announcement of the new. And as the light bearers rise, creation itself exhales relief, because the world has waited long enough for the brightness that now stands before it. There comes a sacred turning point when revelation becomes responsibility, when knowing who you are demands that you step into it fully. Chosen one. You've carried light quietly for so long, But now heaven whispers, it's time to be seen, not for glory, not for recognition, but for purpose. The crown that hovered above you is ready to rest upon your head, but it cannot be forced. It must be chosen. This is your coronation moment. The heavens are not looking for the loudest voice, but for the truest heart. And so, as the light bearers rise, you stand among them, not as a follower, but as a flame bearer, one who decides, I will not hide anymore. In the spirit, it feels like standing before a mirror of fire, one that shows not just your reflection, but your destiny. The choice is yours. Step back and stay safe, or step forward and shine. You have waited long enough, carried long enough, sacrificed long enough. The season of hesitation ends here. As the Apostle Paul wrote in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 7, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. And now, chosen one, it is time to affirm that decision, to make it real, not just in words, but in action. Type in the comments, I choose my crown. Oh, do it not as a gesture of pride, but as an act of devotion. When you type those words, you are saying to heaven, I accept the weight of my calling. I will carry the light, even when it costs me comfort. I will wear the crown, even when it requires sacrifice. This is not about performance. It's about partnership. Heaven doesn't hand crowns to spectators. It gives them to participants. And you, beloved, are not watching a story unfold. You are living it. Every time you declare truth, you lift that crown higher. Every act of kindness polishes it. Every choice to forgive strengthens it. Crowns are not static. They grow brighter with obedience. The glory you carry expands as you walk in purpose. And just as light cannot remain hidden, your voice cannot remain silent. If this message has stirred your soul, if you feel the weight of heaven pressing upon your heart, take a moment to honor it. Like this message, not as a click, but as an amen. Every like is a spark saying, yes, I receive this truth. No, share it. Not as promotion, but as prophecy. You never know who might stumble upon it at the exact moment their hope is fading. You could be the vessel through which heaven reaches another chosen one, still trapped in doubt. Sharing is not about numbers, it's about impact. It's how torches multiply. And if you feel moved to go deeper, to help this message continue to burn in dark corners of the world, consider donating. Think of it as oil for the lamp. Every drop you pour keeps the fire alive for someone else who might be scrolling through despair tonight. You're not funding a message, you're fueling a mission. When you subscribe, you aren't joining a platform, you're entering a family of light bearers, warriors, healers, and dreamers who have decided that this world will not grow darker on their watch. Together, we form a chorus of hope that algorithms can't silence. Chosen one, your crown is not meant to make you higher than others. It's meant to make you visible so others can find the path home. When the light hits it, may they see not your glory, but God's grace reflected in it. This is your call to rise, not with noise, but with nobility, to walk into rooms carrying peace instead of pride, to stand tall, not because you are better, but because you have been broken and rebuilt. The crown is not reward, it is reminder. Let this be the day you stop dimming yourself for others' comfort. The world doesn't need another echo. It needs your original flame. You were designed to reign, not by domination, but by illumination, to lead with love so pure that even darkness bows before it. So lift your head, straighten your shoulders, and let the invisible crown rest where it was always meant to be. Heaven watches, the angels record, the earth responds. You have chosen, and because you have chosen, creation will begin to move around you in ways you cannot yet comprehend. Your crown is not waiting, it's here. Your calling is not coming, it has come. And as you walk forward, remember, every act of faith adds another jewel. Every act of love adds another shine. You, chosen one, are crowned, not for your perfection, but for your persistence. And now, the world will see what heaven saw all along, a soul ablaze with purpose, walking boldly in divine royalty. There is a holy stillness that follows revelation, a pause between heaven's command and your next step. You are standing in that stillness now. Chosen one. The noise has faded. The distractions have thinned. And all that remains is silence, so sacred it feels alive. This is not emptiness, it is observation. Heaven is watching. You have spoken. Declared, surrendered, and chosen. You have walked through the valleys and stood upon the mountains. You have worn both ashes and crowns. Now heaven withdraws into quiet, not to abandon you, but to observe what you will do with what has been given. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when the teacher stops speaking and lets the student demonstrate understanding. The silence is not distance, it's trust. When heaven watches in silence, it is saying, I believe in what I've built inside you. Not. The Spirit spoke through Job's story, recorded in chapter 23, verse 10. But he knows the way I take. When he has tested me, I will come forth as gold. Still, the silence can feel heavy. You may wake some mornings and wonder, why don't I feel his presence like before? Yet even in that quiet ache, he is nearer than breath. The same God who walked beside you in the storm now stands beside you in the stillness. The lesson has shifted from movement to maturity. Heaven's silence is never empty. It is filled with meaning. It's the same silence that hovered over creation before light burst forth. It's the silence before the prophet hears the whisper. Before resurrection stirs in a sealed tomb, the absence you sense is actually anticipation, the pause before glory speaks again. During this silent watch, your faith becomes sightless yet stronger. You begin to act not because you feel God, but because you know Him. This is the phase of refinement where conviction replaces emotion. When you keep walking in silence, you prove that your relationship with heaven is rooted in love, not just in answers. The angels lean close during such seasons. They watch with awe as the chosen continue to move, to trust, to shine, even when heaven hides its face. There is no worship more beautiful than obedience without applause. No faith more radiant than trust that endures uncertainty. Chosen one, do not confuse silence with absence. The divine eye never blinks. Heaven's gaze has not shifted away. It is fixed upon you with affection and expectation. The silence is the sacred test of stewardship. Will you keep tending the fire when the wind stops blowing? Will you hold fast to light when no one else affirms it? You've come too far to doubt the process now. Every past silence has preceded revelation. Every quiet night has been followed by a dawn brighter than before. This silence is not punishment, it is positioning. Heaven is preparing to release new instructions, new dimensions. But only once your spirit has learned to hear without noise. There's something holy about being trusted with silence. It means you have matured past needing constant signs. You have become steady enough to stand on what was already spoken. Heaven no longer needs to repeat itself, because the word has been written on your heart. You are being sculpted into stillness, the kind that cannot be shaken by storms or seduced by chaos. When heaven watches in silence, it is measuring your consistency, your stewardship of revelation. It is asking, will you remain faithful without fresh fire? Will you still carry the same humility when applause fades? These are the questions that build spiritual longevity. Many burn bright for a moment, but only those who embrace silence burn steadily for a lifetime. You are being made into a vessel that can hold lasting glory. So, let the silence do its work. Don't rush to fill it with words, with activity, or with fear. Sit in it. Breathe in it. Listen deeper. The quiet is alive, with unseen movement. Heaven's silence is not a pause in your story. It is the punctuation that gives meaning to the sentence. When the voice returns, and it will not come as correction, but as confirmation. Heaven will speak again, not because you begged for a sign, but because you proved you could hold one without needing proof. Chosen one. This is your gold moment. The fire has refined you. The silence has settled you. The gaze of heaven is upon you, not as judgment, but as joy. You are the masterpiece finally stepping back into view, and the Creator smiles, because what He formed in you is now complete enough to shine on its own. There comes a moment when all the threads, all the storms, all the whispers and waiting weave together into revelation. The mystery that once hovered just out of reach begins to take form, and you realize it was never about discovering something outside of you. It was about remembering what heaven placed within you from the beginning. You, chosen one, are the revelation fulfilled. Everything that was hidden until now finds expression through your existence. You are the message that heaven wrote before time began, the living proof that prophecy is not confined to words on a page. It walks, breathes, and transforms the world through obedience. Every trial you survived, every moment of surrender, every tear you sowed in faith was a line in the sacred story written by the hand of God. The voice of God thundered in the book of Revelation, chapter 21, verse 6. It is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To the thirsty, I will give water without cost from the spring of the water of life. That declaration echoes in your spirit now. It is done. The waiting has served its purpose. The mystery has unfolded. What was sealed has been opened. Not in the sky, but in you. The message that heaven once hid behind signs, numbers, and symbols now lives in your every breath. You are not merely a receiver of revelation, you are its embodiment. Heaven doesn't speak merely to inform, it speaks to transform. You have not just learned truth, you have become truth in motion. When people encounter you, they will feel something familiar, yet undefinable. That's because they aren't just meeting a person, they're meeting a prophecy that has taken flesh. The old you, the one who doubted, hesitated, and feared is gone. The version standing here now is aligned awake, and aware. You carry not only light, but language, not only destiny, but demonstration. Your presence is no longer passive, it's prophetic. Even your silence carries weight now, for it echoes the same stillness that once hovered over creation before light emerged. Chosen one, you are walking scripture. The chapters of your life are sermons written in scars and triumphs. The world may not read ancient texts, but they will read you. Every act of love, every word of truth, every moment of integrity becomes revelation made visible. You were never meant to just speak messages. You were meant to become one. And now, as heaven looks upon you, there is no thunder, no trumpet, only quiet satisfaction. The Creator gazes at what has unfolded and says, "This is what I meant all along." You have become the bridge between what was promised and what is possible. There will still be challenges ahead. Light always attracts resistance, but now you understand that resistance is reverence. The darkness recognizes what you carry. It bows, even as it battles. You are no longer shaken by opposition because revelation has rooted you too deeply to be uprooted. Your journey is not ending, it is transforming. Revelation never stops, it expands. What begins as personal understanding becomes collective awakening. The remnant you met will rise with you. The light bearers will continue to spread across nations. You will not carry the flame alone. You will multiply it. This is how the hidden message of heaven becomes movement on earth. You might wonder why heaven chose you, with all your flaws and doubts. But that is the beauty of grace. It prefers the unlikely. God doesn't hide his greatest treasures in temples of perfection, but in vessels of surrender. Your humanity has never been a hindrance to his plan. It has been the stage upon which his glory is displayed. As you walk forward from this moment, know this: revelation fulfilled does not mean rest, it means radiance. You no longer strive to hear heaven's voice. You have become one of its tones. Every breath you take echoes with the same frequency that formed the stars. Every step you take resounds with the rhythm of divine timing. And when the world looks at you and asks, "What changed?" you will simply smile. Because how can you explain what it means to become the message you once longed to hear? How can you describe being both student and scripture, listener and living word? You have crossed from believing into becoming. The mystery hidden until now is unveiled not in thunder or light, but in your quiet obedience, your relentless hope, your luminous being. The revelation is not elsewhere. It is not coming. It is here. It is you. The scroll is closed now, but its words remain alive in you. You have walked through every valley of fear, climbed every mountain of revelation, and arrived not at an ending, but at an unveiling. The chosen ones, the marked, the misunderstood, the resilient are rising, and you, beloved, are among them. What you carry cannot be taken, cannot be silenced, cannot be dimmed. The world around you may shift. Empires may fall. Voices may fade, but the message written inside you will keep speaking. It will whisper to those who need courage. It will burn in those who hunger for truth. It will awaken those who have slept too long. Remember, your calling was never about grandeur. It was about grace. To live as revelation fulfilled means to walk each day as living light, to forgive quickly, to love deeply, to stand firmly, and to shine quietly. You don't need validation. You are vindication. You don't need signs. You are one. So go now, not as a seeker, but as a sender. Let your footsteps become psalms. Let your daily life become prophecy. Let every breath remind the world that heaven still speaks through human hearts, willing to listen. And when silence comes again, don't fear it. It only means heaven is watching you shine.